All right. I'm going to try and plug in the president's live address right now. Just give me a second. Testing 1, 2, 3. We got audio? Okay.
Think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress.
Sorry for
In
that.
fact,
Sorry I'm late.
all they kept saying is, this is the most
Point is,
secure
I'm here,
election in the
and we're
history
going
of
to
our
talk about
country.
this.
A standard, very pat
Charmaine,
line that was
watching from
divvied
Australia,
out
thank
to
you.
say.
Connie Moody, thank you
The
for joining
cover-up
us.
of this
And anyone
colossal
else I didn't
security
mention,
breach
thank you for joining us.
is
Let's
even
have a
more
listen.
disturbing
What's
in
going
light
on
of
here?
the additional information showing that China engaged in other election-related activities to undermine my first administration and our 2020 campaign. They did not want, and they just didn't want it. They fought like hell not to have it, Donald Trump, to win, and for good reason. As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicitly stated, and I quote, in mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his reelection. Isn't that nice? Also, in mid-2018, China was working to influence the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 presidential election itself. Separately, in mid-2019, the Chinese government's strategy against the United States was focused on undermining domestic confidence in the U.S. president. They wanted to just make you sound like your president wasn't so hot, when actually your president has done a great job, and they did everything possible to do exactly that. Going on, this document says, and this is by the CIA, the strategy included efforts to use Chinese contacts with big U.S. companies to influence U.S. business leaders to turn against the President of the United States of America. The Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them, charged them billions and billions of dollars worth of tariffs, and built the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. These are exact quotes from the CIA reporting. The name of the person doing the quote is now under review, but it gets even worse. Raw intelligence obtained by the FBI in 2020, yet buried by rogue bureaucrats, stated that China's activities even included an attempt to manufacture illegal ballots for Joe Biden. Documents show that during this period, dozens of significant CIA and NSA reports about China's election targeting were kept out of the presidential briefing. These were briefings I would get almost every day. Everything was kept out that was of importance. One email among intelligence analysts admitted that they had, quote, deliberately massaged the presidential daily briefing to withhold information regarding Chinese activities related to the election. Another official inside the FBI wrote that she was running, quote, a shadow government, unquote, to keep intelligence about China's election meddling from becoming known and to keep it away from the honorable press. Other officials who witnessed such efforts perceived the motivations to be blatantly political. Recently, we found significant numbers of burn bags in formation, and this is a group of bags that were used to destroy information given by President Barack Hussein Obama to be burned. It was supposed to be burned. These bags were supposed to be at a different level by different people, incinerated and checked, but it never happened. Maybe we got lucky. We believe this was not done on purpose, but rather through gross incompetence of the people that were supposed to burn the bags. But the findings are stunning. Today, I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden, to fire those involved in the cover-up, and to file criminal charges, if appropriate, against these people. Yet concealing China's meddling was only the beginning. The third set of documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems. Dishonest, almost all. They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it? Made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites, are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries could use this access to these systems to disrupt election processes within the United States of America. Tonight, we're releasing all of those findings, and spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today, we are releasing documents that show the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig their own country's elections in 2020, and that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about methods to regime develop to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked or compromised like it was in the past. The fourth set of documents reveals that even when
Okay, listen,
evidence of fraud has been
family, let me tell you what we're
it has
witnessing
been
here.
buried and
We
covered
were
up.
Amongst
Among the
shocking
disclosures tonight are FBI
findings
files
and
detailing
really
evidence
big
of
news.
alleged
So
fraud
far,
by
what
a
we've received
large-scale
was
voter
a
registration operation in
campaign
Michigan.
rally
In
wearing
2020,
the
Michigan State
costume
Police
of
raided a Democrat
presidential
Get Out the
address.
Vote organization,
He
corrupt
spent the
group
opening minutes
in
congratulating
Muskegon,
himself. Then
and
he
were so
declared that our
concerned by
elections
what they found. They
contain
were just so
shocking
concerned they couldn't believe it, actually,
vulnerabilities.
that they contacted the
Fine,
FBI in Detroit.
show us.
The
If you
documents
have
state that
documents, release
some
them. If you have
canvassers
forensic evidence,
admitted to
identify
FBI
who
agents that they
examined
signed
it.
voter
But
registration forms
don't
in other
stand
people's
here in
names,
the East Room, repeat
submitted
the
fraudulent
word
registration for
shocking,
people who
and
did not
expect
exist,
the
and received
prestige
gift
of the
cards tied to
presidency
their
to
number of
perform the work
applications that they
that
produced.
evidence has not.
In other words, it was pay,
I'm
play,
done.
and
I'm
cheat.
done, man.
The
Look,
FBI
the
agents
2020
working
election
on
was
the
counted,
case believe
recounted,
that
audited,
crimes were committed,
investigated, and
yet the
litigated.
Biden
Trump's
Department of
own
Justice prolonged
administration
the
said there was no
investigation and
evidence
killed it.
that voting
Tonight,
systems
I'm
altered the outcome.
asking the
Courts,
FBI
including
director to
judges he
ensure that
appointed,
the matter is
rejected
fully
challenges
investigated
that failed
and to
to
work with
establish
the
their
Department
claims.
of
6 years
Justice to
later,
prosecute those
this
responsible
man
for
is
any crime.
using the office of the
Finally, to
presidency
reveal
to
just how
relegate
vulnerable our
his personal
elections continue to
grievance
be, we are
while
releasing the results of a
Americans are
stunning
dealing with an
investigation by the
expanding
Department
Iran
of Homeland
war,
Security.
deadly ICE
According
encounters,
to the DHS
rising
review,
costs,
state voter
and
rolls
another
are
midterm
public
election.
records. They
You know,
identified approximately
that's the part we cannot
278,000
dismiss
non-citizens
as,
who are registered
it's
to vote in
merely
federal
pathetic.
elections. Since
The speech is
Democrat
not
state
only about
refused to
rewriting
share their voter
2020,
files,
it can be
the
used to
real
plant
number is
suspicion
actually
about
much higher than that.
2026. And ultimately, I
Yet,
think that's the plan
even
here.
this limited analysis
Convince the
found more than a
system that
quarter of a million
the
foreigners
the
illegally
public,
registered
rather
to vote.
convince the public
Put together,
that the
these
system is
disclosures
already
reveal an
corrupt,
election
and
system so
any result
broken
you
and so
dislike becomes
vulnerable
evidence
that no one can
of the
possibly defend it. It is
conspiracy
not
you would now
defensible.
announced in advance.
Hundreds of millions of
Nah,
U.S.
bro.
voter files are in the
Listen, the
hands
burden
of
of
foreign
proof
governments. Our
doesn't
machines and
belong
ballot counting
to
systems
the
are
American
exposed
people.
to
It
hacking
belongs
and
to the person making the
manipulation and
accusation. And
corruption.
until Trump
China and other
produces
countries have been trying
publicly
to meddle in
testable
our elections.
evidence,
Evidence of fraud has
what we
been
have
heard.
is a
Hundreds
presidential
of
claim,
thousands of
not
non-citizens
an
and dead
established
people are listed and
finding.
active on the voter rolls. And yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail. As one example of the insanity, California's recent election for mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that, much more than 1 month. Took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC Fake News have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it. They and others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in value airways for absolutely no money. They pay nothing. All we want is honesty in our elections and honesty in reporting. They pay nothing for multi-billion-dollar assets. Great damage has been done to our country. Our elections were left vulnerable to being rigged and stolen, and the trust of the American people was lost. This cannot be allowed to continue. Every American, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or otherwise, should be able to agree that we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system anywhere in the world. Secure elections should be a partisan, really, we should be together, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everybody. And it should not be a partisan issue. It should cause to unite us, not to divide us. This should be a cause. We should be united. not divided. In light of the brand new and irrefutable information I have revealed tonight, my administration is in the process of notifying the states whose election data was compromised by the People's Republic of China and many others. We will be working closely to mitigate any harm, and we're taking swift action to ensure that sensitive voter data is better protected so we can never be bought, we can never be hacked, and we can never watch a stolen election again. Tomorrow, the Secretary of Homeland Security will hold a briefing to outline his department's recent work confirming cyber vulnerabilities in our electronic voting systems. They are bad. We're in the process of informing governors, senators, and members of Congress of potential issues in their states. If you look at voting today, it's in such bad shape in so many states, and we are committing to fix it. And we're also committing to be working with those states and local jurisdictions to help them fix and patch known technical vulnerabilities before the midterm elections. We have very important elections coming up. We want those elections to be honest. I've also ordered DHS to notify every state about non-citizens on their voter rolls and direct them to remove all ineligible voters from the lists immediately. But most importantly, addressing this crisis of election security demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act. How
Oh, boy,
easy
here we
is
go with
that
the Save
to do
America. Listen,
unless you want to
did you
cheat?
hear that language?
The only
Potential
reason you wouldn't
issues,
do it
okay?
is you want to
That word
cheat
potential is
because you
doing a
know
lot of
it's
work.
so bad.
A potential
The
vulnerability
candidates are
is
so
not proof that
pathetic
one
that
vote
you
was
can't get
altered. It
away
is
or can't
not
get
proof
elected
that an
any other
election was
way.
stolen.
This
It is not
landmark
even
bill
proof
requires that
that
all voters must
somebody
show photo,
successfully
voter
assessed a voting
ID. How
system.
simple is that?
Electronic
Or have
election
your
security
photo,
is
please.
specific. Which machine,
Photo, voter
which
ID.
software version,
All
which
voters must
which
provide proof
jurisdiction,
of
okay,
citizenship.
which
Are you a
vulnerability
citizen of our country,
was
please?
it exploited?
Hopefully, there
What
will
do the
be no
system logs
corrupt
show?
mail-in ballots,
Did the
which if you
paper
watch
ballot
the
audit
telephone
confirm
in
the
so many places,
electronic ballot?
mail-in ballots
That is
are
how
inherently corrupt.
responsible
So you would have
officials discuss election
no
security.
mail-in
You
ballots
notify the
except
states,
for
security equipment
the
preserves
list,
the evidence and
disability,
conduct a forensic
military deployment,
examination
or
and compare
travel if
the
you're going
results
away on
with the
business
paper
or
record. You don't
vacation.
stand before the
These
country,
reforms are
wave
urgently needed
vaguely
to
at
stop the
the
vulnerabilities that
potential
I have
issues
mentioned.
and invite
To all
millions of
Americans, I
people
ask you
to
to pick
conclude
up your
that
phone tomorrow,
American
call
elections
your
are
representatives in the
fundamentally
House and Senate,
corrupt.
and
If you have
demand that they
evidence,
pass the
produce it.
Save
If you have
America Act
vulnerability,
without delay.
fix it. But
Together, we
stop
will
turning
restore
the
faith
existence
and
of
confidence in
ordinary
our country,
security
and
precautions
we will be
into,
bigger,
evidence
better,
of
and
some
stronger than ever
imaginary
before.
stolen election.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless our great military. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
That was President Trump from the White House. He went just about 26 minutes. He outlined a number of issues that he said were problems with the 2020 election, including what he calls massive vulnerabilities in the U.S. election system. We're getting your reaction to the president's speech tonight, his address from the White House. Here's how you can call in. Democrats 202-748-8920. Republicans 202-748-8921. All others 202-748-8922. As you're calling in, we're joined via Zoom by Congressman Joseph Morelli, Democrat from New York, a member of the House Administration Committee, the committee that has oversight over federal elections.
Okay,
Congressman,
let's see
thank
if this
you
guy
for
has
listening to
anything
that with us.
substantive
Your
to
immediate
say here.
reaction.
Well, honestly, it's the rantings of a pathetic,
What was that? The rantings of a...
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche was grilled by senators during his confirmation hearing Wednesday to become Attorney General.
by.
Blanche previously served as President Trump's personal lawyer. He's headed the Justice Department on an acting basis since Trump fired Pam Bondi as Attorney General. It's unclear if Republicans have enough votes to confirm Blanche. During the hearing, outgoing Texas
Move from stage. of action. Oh, Lord. Do we really want to hear the bulwark? Do we really want to hear this BS? Let's see. Who else do we have here on the list? Fox? Nope. Let's see. USA Today? Fox Nashville? Nope. I did see someone else on here. Oh. Reese Waters? Or Reese Waters? Hmm.
Spare me this mockery of justice. Well, first of all, can we get that man? Can we get that man some lean or something? Something with some cough syrup in it. Can we get some man something in here? You know, some Theraflu or something like that. Is it something that we can? I don't know. I think he need to go back to Walter Reed. That was tough. That was tough, man. Hey, how you tease your speech for days and come out sounding like that? You know what I mean? How you tease? It's like that's like when I was asking girls to prom with low self-esteem. At least I had the decency not to call my shot. I wasn't telling people what I was about to do because I knew I was going to be asking with low self-esteem. You out here pushing for the Same America Act with low self-esteem. Come on, man. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. And I see somebody say because he didn't write it. Well, it's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say that because I do want to give him a little bit of credit. I know it's hard to give him credit for anything. I want to give them a little bit of credit because they were able to find a teleprompter operator on short notice. I know that's hard to do. But they were able to find a teleprompter operator on short notice because they had to pack up the old one. I don't know if y'all saw this situation. President Trump's teleprompter operator is on unpaid leave after reports that he used inside knowledge to make bets about the president's speeches on the online prediction market Kalshi. The firm enforcement chief said Kalshi contacted federal regulators about bets allegedly made about what the president would say in public addresses. Now, I heard of some corruption. I heard of some corruption. I have heard of.
Listen. Reese just said what the rest of us have been, politely, I guess, kind of saying to ourselves. This speech has the energy of somebody calling customer service because the television didn't say enough nice things about them. Sir, this is an election system, not some kind of self-esteem hotline. And listen, at this point, I don't know whether to fact check. It would be almost like an insult to the truth to fact check this stuff. And I want to thank you, Reese. after all that doom, gloom, and potential issues, somebody had to let some of the air out of the balloon. I don't think I could do it like he could. I'm not a comedian. Let's let him keep going on here.
Friends and family maybe being corrupt. I heard of that, right? I heard, maybe the limo driver or something heard something. He might be the teleprompter operator, dog. The teleprompter operator. Y'all can't even get a clean teleprompter operator. Do we need to start investigating the elevator operators too? Do we got to look into the cleaners? Do we got to look into whoever DoorDashing McDonald's to the White House? Y'all so dirty, we can't even get a clean teleprompter operator. Oh, you know how you operate teleprompter? You can't even find nobody to do this that's clean in this job market. In this economy that you have thrust upon America, you can't find nobody to do. You can't find nobody to, you know what I mean? That's nuts. That's nuts. That's nuts. Look, we know that every accusation is admission. We know that. And just to quote things that I've said a few times before with regards to this administration, they love to pretend that they're only talking to MAGAs and that nobody else has any capacity to remember more than 10 seconds ago. So you coming with, they would only do it because their policies are so bad and their candidates are so pathetic. When you in the 30s, it's quite an admission now, isn't it? That's quite, I don't know. Hey, I don't know how candidates are so pathetic is going to land with the red hats. I don't know how that's going to land with the GOP. You know what I mean? Just imagine you are a Republican congressman or senator. You have completely thrown your legacy, dignity, and self-respect in the dustbin of history for Donald Trump. Got them already packing your stuff up in preparation for the midterms, and he get up there and call you pathetic. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. There wasn't a single moment of me listening to that and thinking he was talking about anybody else but y'all. That's nuts. That's nuts. Then had the nerve to sandwich. This how short his attention span is, right? Had the nerve to sandwich. We should be united, not divided. We should be united in this, not divided, in between attacking radical leftists and Democrats trying to destroy the country. In between. Nice little sandwich. Nice little, we should be united and not divided. Nice little sandwich. It's kind of like how they tried to sandwich the Freedom 250. How come y'all aren't trying to celebrate America in between attempts to take over the election and white supremacists on the mall? They just right in between. We just gonna say it. We just gonna bam, kind of like Frogger trying to cross the street. We gotta slide that in between. Y'all might have seen me flipping around at some point while I was in the box. I was trying to see exactly who was covering this particular speech. Shout out to NBC and ABC.
Yeah.
For not covering this particular speech. And and CNN.
I mean, think about
and
that.
CNN. Shout out to
NBC,
CNN for not covering the
ABC
speech. I was checking on
decided,
CNN. I didn't know which.
not to cover this, and me, my citizen journalist behind with, an iPad, thought I could seriously provide some critical analysis here. Look, that's what I came prepared to do, try to add to the conversation. But you know, I had the fact checkers ready, verified sources. Listen, but critical analysis requires something coherent to analyze. And what we received tonight was a grievance salad. Okay, television networks, public airwaves, voting machines, potential issues, unnamed officials, unspecified vulnerabilities. One accusation stitched to another without the evidence necessary to connect any of it. And I guess I've kind of learned my lesson here. At some point, you start looking crazier, trying to analyze a crazy performance as though it were a sane, evidence-based argument. That's why our comedian here, Reese Waters, looks like the sanest person in the room right now. You know, you find yourself examining every broken sentence, searching for the policy proposal, waiting for the documents, and trying to impose structure on something that was never designed, to withstand serious scrutiny. So I'm done doing that tonight. Hell, I need to eat anyway. Saves me a lot of work. And usually I go back, I break it down, I edit everything. You know how I roll, and then I create a readable essay out of it. Now I understand why NBC, ABC, and CNN refused to surrender their primary television channels to this bullshit. You know, they didn't silence him. The speech remained available, through streaming services, through me, kind of showed up late. I shouldn't have showed up at all. What they refused to provide was unquestioned institutional credibility and uninterrupted amplification. That was not censorship, that was editorial judgment. Listen, a presidential address is supposed to inform the public about a genuine national concern. It is not supposed to function as personal therapy for a man litigating every grievance he has collected since 2020. Listen, if the administration has evidence, release it. If it has identified a vulnerability, go ahead and document it and fix it. All right. If it believes somebody committed a crime, take admissible evidence to court. But I ain't spending the rest of this evening, excavating a coherent meaning from political word salad. All right. The next time the networks decide, this doesn't deserve their answers, their airwaves, I may simply trust that they already smelled what we have already stepped in. Yeah, I'm done with this. Yep. I don't even want to read the rest of it. But look, who do we got in the room here? I see we got Marianne L. Thank you for joining us. Pegasus, thank you for joining us. Charmaine, thank you. Matt Brandenburg, you didn't miss anything. This was a waste of time. I shouldn't have even done this. You know how I roll, right? I don't normally cover Trump. You've never seen a picture of Trump on any of my articles, and this is why, right? You don't sit down and try to do critical analysis of something that is, basically totally illogical, totally full of lies, and doesn't sound any different than a man in an insane asylum. Okay. And Charmaine says, you had to do it on the what is that, 0.0001% chance he had actual real proof. I guess so. I was kind of curious, and I thought there might be some bombshell evidence that's coming, but yeah, it's the same old bullshit. Charmaine, you nailed it. You said ramblings of a pathetic UN, a pathetic UN is all we got to hear. PK said, I'm glad you showed it. I usually don't watch his yeah, neither do I. But for the reasons you're saying, but I wondered if he would be something to, I wondered, I guess, if it would be something to hear. And I didn't want to add to the views. Okay, let me go ahead and set my outro video. Get the H up out of here. All right, thank you guys for joining me. When's the? I think I should. I think I'll be coming on live, 7 p.m. on a much more regular basis. I think the workflow is kind of working. I actually showed up on time. I didn't, even though I did have some snafus, I was on time. So, trying to pick a time I can regularly show up on. And so I think 7 p.m. is going to be it. So be looking out. I'm out of here. Yeah. Thank you too, Charmaine. Y'all take care.